what got me into Crown Vics? So, as I stated in other videos, I really wasn't a car guy until probably around age 20 or so is when I started really getting more interested in different types of cars and what do they do, and horsepower and modifications and all those sorts of things. And certainly by the time I was 30, I was hardcore into all that stuff. But I didn't really know that you could buy old police cars, retired police cars or whatnot, nor did I think that there was anything special about them. I was very ignorant on that. One day I had finished court and was outside with one of my lawyer friends, and he was getting into an old cop car, and I can't remember if it was a Dodge Diplomat or maybe a slightly older version cop car, but it was a much older cop car. And I kind of looked at him funny, and I was like, what's this? And I was like, oh, it's the greatest car I've ever had, and so reliable and so forth. And I'm kind of like, okay. So that kind of planted a little bit of a question in my head about getting one. And although I had no desires to be impersonating the police or pulling people over or doing anything illegal and dangerous like that, I was curious about the vehicles, because once I started getting into cars, I was very interested in performance and things like that. And most, if not all, police cars have upgraded performance, at least the handling and brakes, if not the engine as well. And even like the Crown Vic, even though it's not a different engine, the tuning on it is just slightly different to make it a little bit more performance oriented, as well as the rear gear being a little more aggressive to, again, make it more performance oriented. So I started kind of looking around to see what was out there, and to be honest, I was kind of thinking like old Dodge Diplomat or something like that. I wasn't really thinking Crown Vic initially, but what I was finding was Crown Vics. And so I found one in particular that it was a 2003. It still had the push bar and spotlight, so it still looked like a unmarked police car. And I test drove it, and it certainly wasn't high performance as far as acceleration and power, but it drove well, and so the price was right, so I bought it. And I started getting interested in restoring it to more civilian type life, because I didn't know how to make the doors open again. I didn't know how to make the windows roll down in the back. And this one didn't even have a working horn. So it had a button that he had installed under the dash as your horn button. So I started researching how to fix all that stuff, and I was amazed that a lot of it was fairly easy to fix. It was just more knowing what to look for, because these cars are designed obviously to be police cars, so they're actually easy to set up to where the windows don't roll down and the doors don't open and all that, and then they're easy to undo. Or if you don't know what you're doing when you're upfitting it for police work, you start cutting stuff, breaking stuff, ripping stuff out, obviously it could be more of a bear to fix. Well, I was lucky. This 03, they had done everything right, so to speak. They just pulled the pins out of the door handles, they just disconnected the little plug in the B pillar, and they'd only done it on one side, which is effective at working. And the horn was just a cut wire under the glove box. After I fixed all that, then I had a great car, and it started becoming my daily driver, and I started enjoying driving it more and more. It certainly didn't hurt that at the time Crown Vics were still massively in use locally, and so it was, you know, very much Crown Vic effect when driving. And I certainly enjoyed that, because driving in the Mustang, it's always stressful because people are always wanting to race and everything, and it's like, you know, I just basically wanted to get from home to work or work to home. Wasn't really interested in racing everybody that had a Camaro or something, but with the Crown Vic, that never happened. So driving was very not stressful. I just go from home to work, work to home. Nobody was wanting to race me, nobody was wanting to tailgate me, nobody was wanting to cut me off. People would get out of the fast lane, things like that. So stress level was way down driving it, and that's really what got me hooked. And then I found the 2008, and one of my groomsmen from my wedding had some inside knowledge about it, told me, you know, that they had fixed a bunch of things on it, and they were selling it because it was silver, and they were going to an all black traffic fleet. So I bid on that, and probably overpaid on it, but I wanted to make sure I won it, so I won that car, and that's my silver 08. And then when I started driving the 08 compared to the 03, it almost felt like the difference of a naturally aspirated versus a supercharged car. I mean, it was literally so much noticeably faster from the seat of the pants feeling. And I don't know if that was just an 08 versus 03 factor. I want to say it's like 11 horsepower higher rated maybe, but that shouldn't be enough to make that big of a noticeable difference. I mean, it literally felt like it would drive circles around the 03. And around that time when I decided I would start flipping cars, so I went ahead and sold the 03 and made the 08 my daily driver. And then, like I said, I intended to be flipping full time, so I bought the Charger and the Caprice, and then the P7B, and only the Caprice got sold. The Charger and both Crown Vics are still in my possession, and they kind of get rotated through daily driver duty. The P7B gets the bulk of it. It's got the highest mileage, and so I'm just basically trying to see how high it'll go before it needs a transmission or an engine or something. So that's why I'm trying to put the bulk of the miles on it. The Charger's still under 100,000, and the silver P71 is, I want to say, like 110,000 miles on it, something like that. This one's almost 150 right now. Anyway, that's about all I got for today. I'll see you in the next video.